Stage.
All right, and then go live. Oh no! What the hell? Hold on. Mer.
We're
There we go.
all right.
We're live.
We're
Like,
doing it.
hey, hey everybody. We're actually live on YouTube, one of my Facebook pages, and Instagram all at the same time. We're trying
Woohoo!
something new. I'm Matt. That's Alex. Hello. Welcome to a crazy full moon and an even crazier end to the last 2 weeks. We got a lot to talk about, but happy full moon. I think it's, what is it? Full moon in Pisces, something like
That's
that. And
right.
then a partial lunar eclipse. So we had a lot to talk about.
We do. And I'm the worst astrologist ever because I forgot to look up the dates that I wanted to. Because as we were talking about last week during the new moon, or I guess that
Yeah.
was 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Um,
We were talking about the new moon 2 weeks ago. And now what's happening tonight. And I'll start it off because literally, like, what you're about to say is what I've been feeling the last 2 weeks. For the past 2 weeks, I shit you not, like, anybody who has felt odd, sluggish, tired, emotional, or just not feeling like you're in your body, there's a reason for that. The last 2 weeks has been a build up to this point because the full moon, really great time to let everything go. But we also have the start of the second eclipse season that is bookending the eclipse season that started in March or April of this year. So whatever you've been doing in the past few months, it's about to come to a head now. And the full moon is kind of has been trying to coax out a lot of the old guard, if you will, that we've been keeping dormant for the last few years of our life. And if you've been feeling it a lot, like some of us have been feeling like, what is my life about? What am I doing? What am I doing wrong? What am I doing right? Everything is coming back up because you really need to let it go. And Alex, go ahead and start talking about the astrology of it all, because I think that's what the astrology is meant to do.
Yes, there's so much. Right now, we're in the thick of Virgo season. So it's the Virgo Pisces axis, which is asking us to find the balance between Virgo energy and Pisces because one without the other is going to be imbalanced. So if it's too much Virgo energy, it's too analytical, we're too rigid, we're too worrisome. And if it's
Mhm.
too much Pisces energy, then we're just ungrounded and like a bird just floating off into space with the aliens. And so that's why full moons are so powerful because not only are they a release point, so full moons are a great time to see things come to fruition or the culmination of something. We're kind of realizing what doesn't work, and that's especially the case for this one because there's a lot of planets, of a lot of the outer planets in the crisis degree points, the last degree points of the decan. So it's 27 degrees, which is what Uranus is in, and 28 degrees is what Neptune is in, I believe, and then 29 degrees. Yep, and then we lost light. So I might have to do this. Hold up.
Oh,
I know I can't figure out how to keep it on.
I I don't know. It should actually stay on, but that's also like, does this astrology have anything to do uh, with electronics, with energy, with the fact that all day to day it seems like, and for the past couple of weeks, anything that can go wrong with any electronics has seemed to have gone wrong. Not that anything is fried, but you've been having trouble with your phone. I've been having a ton of trouble with both my phone, computers, and even a car that I rented this weekend. Like, there was a little bit of issues here and there. So it feels like not only are we pushing out old emotional wounds and old emotional turmoil, but everything electronic, which is part of our body too, is about to be reset. In terms of this full moon, it's like, shove it out now because you're going to start from anew tonight, tomorrow, and for the next 2 weeks. You get to have a clean slate for the next, what, 20 years that's about to come up, because you can't go into this new frame of mind with old ideas that have kept you stagnant for the longest time. I think I heard it's like from 2008 or even earlier. So
yes, exactly. Because Pluto is well. The other thing I wanted to mention is that we've got a lot of the outer planets in retrograde too. So that means our energy is turned inward in those areas of our life. But it's been, since they're outer planets and they move very slowly compared to the personal planets, they stay in an area of your chart for a while. So when they retrograde, they go back to a degree point that they've already been to. But since the other planets have moved ahead since then, it's like we're able to see the past with through a different lens than we've been able to see it before.
right.
So what I think you're feeling, what I'm feeling, what a lot of us are feeling is the shift from Pluto, the planet of death and transformation and change and digging deep. So Pluto's the underworld, it's ruled by Scorpio, which is, all about the death and the transformation, and the natural psychologists were just really digging deep, but it's in Capricorn right now. So Capricorn is ruled by Saturn, which is father time, which is limitations, which is past life karma, which is restrictions, which is father. So relationships with the father could be heightened, or maybe like your inner, I don't know. How
is it relationships with father, just relationships with men in general? Because a lot of the lead up has been relationships with women, with mother, highlighting the mother wound. And now we're doing a skip to the father wound, where a lot of people are like, I don't have any wounds. I don't have any wounds whatsoever. 99% of people are going to have mother wounds or father wounds or both. If you think you had a great childhood, you probably didn't. And if you did have a great childhood, you're probably the 1% that did, but you're still going to have a wound there. And that wound is going to be highlighted. And, the mother wound has been highlighted for the past 10, 15 years. And now it's the father wounds time to really get into that masculine, deep, dark, here's what I need to do. Here's all the issues that I might have had with with my masculine side. How do I let it go? How do I move forward with it? And sometimes all it really takes is talking.
That's true. Yep. Talking, and then a nice push from the universe, from the planets that are switching in and out of these signs. And one of the reasons why I love teaching human design is because there's a scientific aspect to it. So the neutrinos, 70% of them are coming from the sun, stars, and I think Jupiter. So neutrinos are subatomic particles that travel faster than the speed of light, and they're moving through all these planetary bodies, and then they come through Earth's atmosphere, and then they're passing through us. So they're literally changing our DNA. So we're all affected by it. So you mentioned technology earlier, and what I was saying about the father wound and Saturn, Saturn also rules structures and top-down power situations, especially power structures, especially since Pluto is involved. Pluto is all about power. So it's moving from Capricorn into Aquarius. So once it's done retrograding into Capricorn, it's going to be in Aquarius for a while, which also coincides with the United States of America's solar return chart, or not solar return, my bad, the natal chart. So the birth of the United States was 1776 when they signed the Declaration of Independence.
Mm-hmm.
And that's my cue. Turn on the light.
While you're turning that back on, Orlando says hi, Kinsley says hi, Isaiah says poop, and then Casey Walls says, real shit, my childhood trauma was something I suppressed, and now I have children, it has exacerbated. And that's the thing, no matter what is going on with you, the astrology and your body and your mind are really working in tandem to highlight whatever trauma that you do have. And the problem is that a lot of the old guard, the boomers, my dad, my mom, and our family never got a chance to really take a look at what feelings were. They suppressed their feelings, they shoved them down, because the silent generation of the boomers were you don't cry, you don't talk, you don't smile, you have no form of relationship with yourself. You're just going to shove it down, but you're also going to transfer it to your kids. And we're now just learning that a lot of what they went through is being transferred to us And we're the ones that kind of have to figure out, well, what did get transferred to me? How long have I been living like this? How long have I been thinking like this? And it's not even us trying to heal our parents. It's us trying to heal ourselves from what really went on. Like if you can really dial it down to what is my mother wound? Where did all this come from? Where's my father wound? Why did I start feeling this way? And start doing the things to release yourself from this overwhelming oppression that like, oh, I have to be perfect or I have to do this for my parents. And you stop looking at it as I'm living for them. You start looking at it as I'm living for myself. What happens is you release all this trauma and all this energy, and you're just doing whatever it is for you, but your parents will start releasing that energy too, because you're not trying to fix them, you're trying to fix yourself. And it literally just goes down the daisy chain and allows them to do the things that they really need to do to heal themselves, because they got fucked up too as younger kids. And we've been talking about this for years, and now it seems like it's the time where it's really in our face that like the healing needs to take place. We need to figure out why we've kept ourselves stuck for so long and how to unstuck and unfuck ourselves.
Yep, and the universe and the planets and the astrology is all very supportive of that, especially since those outer planets are in the last degree points of the last decan of whatever sign they're in. So Uranus, which is the planet of change and transformation and technology, is in Taurus still. So Taurus is our resources and what we have. So pretty soon, within the next handful of years, it's going to be in Gemini, which is about our community. So I don't know if you guys are noticing this theme either. A lot of people's communities and circle of influence could be changing. Our communities could be shifting. So right now, I feel like this full moon is about, when the Lionsgate portal, it was Leo energy. So that helped us figure out where do we shine? What are our gifts and what are we going to share with the world? What do we want to share with the world? And that's the opposite of the Aquarian energies. And we're moving into the age of Aquarius, which is all about how do we use our personal gifts to benefit the collective? And if everybody can just wake up to what it is that they're passionate about, what they have a natural inclination to teach, or to embody, then it helps the collective. So I think that's also what's happening. And then the Virgo, of course, is literally pushing our illness out because everything is energetic. So it's like if you have a sore throat a lot, then you probably have a blocked throat chakra, and that's how it's manifesting in your body. And then if it's a solar plexus and it's a lot of digestive issues, then that's the identity. That's where you feel self-love. And I could go on, but I feel like you want to talk. I feel like you probably have some to expand upon.
Right. And what's funny is like I was looking at the mirror before we went live, and I have something on my throat, like a little pimple. But that's also what's been highlighted over this weekend for me, is like not wanting to speak or not speaking up. It's no longer a wound of like, oh, I have issues with my mom or my dad or whatever. It's like there's something that is not forcing, but it's nudging the forward movement of speaking, of truth, of literally just knowing that you're worthy. And it doesn't even have to be me, like knowing that you're worthy enough to do what you want to do. Whereas the Plutonian energy is really digging deep and going, what are all the deep, dark, shadowy things inside of our body that we really need to address and get rid of? And that's a lot of like why people are going through some mental health crises or not feeling as good as they could, because we're addressing all the old shit in our body and all the old stuff from families and lineages from a long time ago. And we're just, and not to really say you're fucked up, but just to look at it from a different point of view and say, okay, I've shed light on it. How do I open this up? How do I open up to it? And I'm getting consistent nods of like, you should start speaking, speak a little bit more. Don't be scared to speak. And that's the key. It's like being in a different country, speaking a different language. Yeah, it's hard to speak. It's hard to speak Spanish, but it happens a lot. Like the more you just try, the more you just access like what might be slowing you down and acknowledge it. You don't even have to really do much with it. But that Plutonian energy is just like, just access it, sit with it for a while. And for the past couple of weeks, we've really accessed the deep, dark recesses of our inner body, of our bowels, of every part of our body that's just kind of not felt right, and shed light on it. And over the next, I would say, year and a half, we're going to get to a point of like, all right, how do I move forward? How do I really move forward? And how do I bring other people forward with me?
Yep. And that is 100% what I'm picking up on, what I'm feeling, and what I'm noticing in the people around me too. The other thing that's been happening in my world is I made this reel about how, like, where are you sick and what chakras that related to. And it's going semi-viral, or I don't know. It feels like it's going viral. So it's had like close to 300 shares, which is probably nothing to a lot of people. But in my little world, that's a lot. And that, I mean,
it's a huge amount. Yeah.
And that's been another teaching moment for me, and maybe whoever's watching, because a lot of the younger generation, I feel like we're kind of programmed. It seems like there's this energy of everybody, because of our cell phones and technology, we all have our own little platform. So because our self-esteem is so low, because we're constantly comparing ourselves to what's on social media, because of the algorithm, etc., it feels like we're in this little race to be seen. So, with our self-esteem being so low in general, not everybody, but it's like we want those likes and we want that attention.
It's all about the dopamine hit at this point. Like, our self-esteem is so low because we're not living the way we should be living, and we're constantly looking to YouTube shorts and TikTok and everything else and seeing somebody else's life, who they're not living their best life either. They're just showing you a snippet of like 5 seconds of their day. We're going, oh, I wish I could be like that person. I wish I could do this. But they're not doing anything different than what we're doing. It's just, we're the ones sitting here scrolling like for hours on end.
And the other thing I wanted to say about that too is people seem to think, you need millions of followers or millions of likes or hundreds of thousands or whatever. But what I'm realizing, and what has been coming up in a lot of readings I've been doing, is one person who resonates with your content on a deep level can be more life-changing than 100 or hundreds of thousands of likes that don't retain followers. And if, because a lot of people also have that experience on social media where they have like one viral video, but then they don't get a lot of followers. And then that's kind of rough on our dopamine too, because it's like you get like one video that has like 30,000 of views, and then, maybe you get some new followers from it, but then all of your other videos and your content goes back to like 5 views or like 200 or whatever. It's so all over the place. So I think that kind of messes with people's self-esteem a lot too. And our focus is kind of in the wrong place in regards to the pressure we put on ourselves to be influencers. Because I feel like a lot of what people, I don't know, ever since COVID, it seems like there's a lot more people who are realizing, hey, I can work from home. Hey, I can be an influencer. Hey, I can work on the internet. And a lot of the jobs now with AI making things easier for us, a lot of us can work online. And not to mention that the internet is your biggest store. There's billions and billions and billions and billions of people on here. Right. So it's just really interesting, the topic of technology in general and where we're going to be in our lifetime. At some point.
Yeah, true. I mean, and what's funny is like it's kind of half of one, half of another. Like, the issue is like, without the internet, I wouldn't be able to go to a different country and work from a different country, or go to Peru or anything else. But what's been going on lately is like, 20 years ago, you wouldn't have been able to go to a different country and actually understand what's truly going on, or see how people are living or doing whatever. And they wouldn't have taken credit cards either. At this point, like 20 years later, like, everybody is going to a different country, everybody who can. And we're kind of, unfortunately, gentrifying the world, which is shitty, but good at the same time. Because it's like, yeah, American money in Peru and Mexico goes a long way. American money in Costa Rica doesn't go a long way. But it's the whole idea of you're still paying your part, because when I'm in Costa Rica, it's like, all right, well, if you can afford it, you're going to buy it anyway. So it's kind of like a self-serving prophecy in a way, because we're highlighting different places. We're being able to go and spend money and help people, but we're also, what are we doing to really help these people besides crisscrossing tourist vans through different parts of Peru? Like, it makes sense and doesn't at the same time. We're buying stuff, but everybody knows it's crazy.
It is. And I don't know, it seems also that there's a lot of interest from Americans wanting to move to other countries right now too. And when you're talking about all that, I was thinking, I'm like, yeah, I've heard a lot of people who have traveled outside of America who say the American dollar or money goes a lot farther in other countries.
Oh yeah.
And in America, it's just kind of like, I don't know, America, I hate to be negative, but I don't know, it just seems like America is super regulated and censored right now. And
I don't know, the American dream used to be a thing, right? And I think the American dream, it's still there for a ton of people. And one of my ex-girlfriends, her father came from Argentina. Her father immigrated from Argentina with a suitcase full of cash, bought a house, and before he died, we had talked, and he's like, America gave me everything. I came here to start a better life for my family. And people are still starting to do that. But what we're noticing, and what I'm noticing, is no matter where I go outside of the US, there are a ton of expats and a ton of people that are doing the same thing I'm doing. And it's not that it's bad, but I think people are realizing oh, I can have a better life. I can go to a different country, spend my money, feel a little bit better, not be in the US and not be subject to all the rules and regulations and everything else. It's not really about waking up, but in reality, now that we have internet everywhere, hell, I had cell phone reception all the way up at the top of Machu Picchu.
Wow.
And I'm literally in the middle of nowhere, and I have decent enough Wi-Fi, but we're able to just disperse and keep other economies going. Not saying America is so great, but if something doesn't feel right, we're getting to that point of, if something doesn't feel right, I must change it. Well, how do I change it? And the astrology and the way things are working now, it's well, all right, I don't feel like going back to the US. But now what I'm getting is, every time I listen to music or a podcast or something, the ads that are coming on it are hey, did you know you can vote from afar? Register to vote from afar, and we'll send you an email to vote. I can't get away from it. So.
Wow, that's pretty wild. That says a lot about what they're trying to do. And it's really interesting because it goes along with the astrology again, with the shift from, this time that we're all alive, we're shifting into the age of Aquarius from the age of Pisces. And the age of Pisces is all about endings, but it's also about giving our power away to another entity outside of ourselves. So not only that, but we also, especially the U.S. specifically, who's experiencing their, I believe it's the Pluto return, which is power, who we give our power to, what we give our power to. And it's moving from Capricorn, which is, again, the top-down structure, somebody at top, kind of a marketing scheme or network marketing or whatever MLM marketing scheme. But now it's being distributed when it moves into Aquarius to all the people. So the other thing you and I were talking about earlier, and what I'm realizing too, is that a lot of people are having, eclipses offer us the opportunity to shift onto a different timeline. So It's almost like with every eclipse, especially depending on where,
Well, and I know the first few eclipses, so we had 2 or 3 different eclipses at the beginning of the year. And no matter what you believe, eclipses are amazing. And I saw the total eclipse, total solar eclipse in Texas before I left. And it really puts things in perspective of how small am I really in the whole scheme of things? on the whole timeline of the universe, we're like, a brief moment in time, and it really puts things in perspective of like, what have I been holding on to that doesn't serve me? What have I been pushing off that really needs to be done at this point? But also in the months in between these eclipses, it's become a great idea. It's become a great, I would say, like adventure. Like no matter if you're staying home or you're traveling the world, like you open yourself up to all the change that is about to happen. And what's funny is while we're talking, we have a comment section in YouTube that is talking just loads of shit about us. But you know what? It doesn't matter because they're watching. And it's just funny to watch them like go back and forth, like talking shit about me. And like all I can do is laugh. But it's also, you only talk shit because you can't back it up. And that's the truth. It's like when you see something that slightly resonates, but you're not ready to accept the fact, you're going to go the other way. And these people are going so far the other way that it's really funny.
Isn't it empowering though to be at a point where you're so comfortable with yourself that it doesn't matter what anybody outside of you says, even if they're trying to like bring you down to their level because they're have so much pain on the inside that they don't know how, they have to project it onto other people to feel better.
Right.
They try to project it on other people to bring them down to their level because they don't know happiness. So on some level, we have to feel sorry for those people and send them love, which bothers you and probably triggers you because when you're living in such a place of depression, which I've been there, I know this because I have, suffered from depression for a lot of my life. And when I was severely depressed, it's very hard to see people who are comfortable and positive with themselves. You think that everybody's faking it because you're faking it. You're faking it to fit in. So the other thing about eclipses is like eclipses are triggering to a lot of people. And like you said, like, of course, like if you spot it, you got it. That's one of my favorite sayings. So that's like, I don't know, a person who's not narcissistic can actually sit and reflect on that. Like, okay, I spotted, I got it. Why am I triggered by this person? Why am I jealous of this person? It's because I'm not living up to my potential. But eclipses offer us the opportunity to look at that. So if you're utilizing this energy wisely, then rather than project everything onto other people and, talk shit about them or whatever, which may just be comment farms, by the way, people who are paid to talk shit, which is fine because they're helping the algorithm. So it doesn't matter.
Thank you. Bill, Mike, and Weston from Florida Rehab. Like, thank you for talking shit. Like, please keep talking shit, and I'll continue to ignore you. But the more you talk, the more it helps. I mean, then we have people coming through on both on Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook. So, but a lot of this feels again like it's synchronistic because like it's a good time to release. And from what I'm seeing in these comments, like they're releasing this anger and this self-delusion that they've been keeping themselves in for so long. It's like, well, I wish I could do that and I can't. I don't know how. So I'm just gonna like make fun of you. It's like you're not making fun of anything, but you're also proving that you're so far down the rabbit hole of self-delusion, you need help,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, the other thing that's interesting is like, why are you watching it? Why are you giving these things airtime? People want to just sit on their phones all day, and it's easier to like talk shit about other people or make fun of other people than it is to pick themselves up and look at themselves and give themselves an honest inventory and take an honest inventory of yourself and be like, okay, what do I need to change? Like that's the problem with, a lot of our society. It's like selfishness and narcissism. Narcissism, doesn't always look like, what we think of as a typical narcissist, like somebody who's mean and controlling and demanding and egotistical. Sometimes narcissism just looks like I'm an empath and everything else around me is triggering because I'm a light being. There's a lot of like false spiritual.
Oh my God, I can't be around people because the energy. All right, I've said that before. And it's funny because I've said that and I feel like a douche saying it, but it also makes me realize that people who will say that, like, will go into any situation and be like, I'm an empath and I feel everything. Like, and all I can really do is tell them like, bro, everybody's an empath. You're just like you just want the attention so that people will look at you. but it's also a means of like really calling yourself out of like, well, I feel like I'm special, whereas everybody is an empath, everybody is intuitive. We're special, but we're not special, and we have to figure out how to emphasize what's truly special about us, which also emphasizes what's special about everybody else. You set yourself apart by emphasizing those around you.
I love that. And the other thing I was going to say, speaking of how everybody's empathic, I think there's a fine line between blaming it on how sensitive we are, but also recognizing that we all are interconnected, and especially during certain portals like right now, eclipses and full moons, not that you want to avoid people, but sometimes it is beneficial to separate yourself from the group, just because, in human design, they talk about the arc field, how it's 12 feet in some people. So, I mean, that's, bigger than your arm. So if you share apartment walls, if you live in a big city, yes, you're so empathic, but you don't know that you're empathic because we're not taught that. It's not like we're taught these things in school. It's something I'm just thankful that I was lucky enough to stumble upon, through all the books I read. I was like, oh, this stuff actually makes sense. And tell me why the literature about like aliens and star seeds and books like Burning Souls and Many Lives and Many Masters, why does that make more sense to me than what doctors and therapists and all these people who've gone to school and gotten their degree and whatever, why does the other stuff resonate with me and a lot of people more than the so-called science out there? I think that's something interesting to think about.
Yeah, and science does have a place, like no matter what. Like science is all about the ability to fail, try again, fail, and keep failing until you prove a point. But the magic, the pure magic in our bodies, the fact that our brains have energy and electricity and our heart pumps blood through our bodies and we're literally just meat sacks traveling through a world. Like the fact that we're here talking about this today is not, like, it feels a little bit like science, but it truly is magic because, we're probably not alone in this world, but we're probably the only planet in our solar system that has life. But it would be ludicrous to think that like we're the only people ever in this ever expanding universe. Is that, and you can look at it as science, but it's like there's pure autonomy and pure magic in a lot of like how people react and how we react to ourselves and other people and the energy around us. Like if you're in a big city, you're going to feel everything. I'm here. I'm in a town of 2,500 people, and I still will not go out like when there's a lot of people, like a lot being like 20, 30 people, because I just don't want to be around people sometimes. And what I did find out, especially this past weekend, was like I didn't want to go out. I didn't want to do anything. I went to another place and I literally just stayed in my hotel room for a day because I'm like, I'm going through so much. I'm not going to subject other people to what I'm going through. And sometimes it's as simple as that. It's like, I don't know what's going on with me, but I can't subject the outside world, or I can't subject myself to the outside world. So I'm going to stay here. I'm going to deal with what's going on internally. And I know if I just give myself 12, 24 hours, I will be fine.
Exactly. I think that's manifesting for a lot of us differently right now. Like there's sometimes we need periods of more rest and more sleep and more isolation when we're in the process of healing. Sometimes it's more healing for us to be around other people. Sometimes, and the other thing I wanted to mention earlier is about like people waking up in different waves, because what I love about astrology, and what's significant about astrology is in your personal natal chart, if you have an eclipse that's reaching, like, for example, I know me personally, I think sometime in 2014 or 15, which was probably one of my first spiritual awakenings. It's when I decided to quit drinking, but I was having a personal eclipse that year. One of the planets was like it was either right on my ascendant or my sun. I don't remember right now, but one of the eclipses this year was right around my birthday. So I was reading for a girl the other day where the eclipse was right around her birthday. And I was like, oh yeah, you're going to have like a big important year whenever you have an eclipse on at the time of your birth. So that being said, everybody's kind of, activated at different times, which is great, because while one person may be healing during this eclipse, you've got other people who are like, oh, I'm fine, I'm not really feeling it. So they can be the
Right.
one to like hold down the light or like be there to support our brothers and sisters who are in healing and vice versa. You know what I mean? So it's beautiful how symbiotic everything
Right.
is.
Like I personally, like the past 2 weeks have been not incredibly hard, but I haven't been wanting to do anything. I haven't been going outside as much, and I've been sleeping a lot. But in that sleep, it hasn't been restful sleep. It has been like awake, tossing and turning, can't get to bed, but I don't want to go outside. What are some of the things that have gone on for your past 2 weeks? Because as we said, like it hits everybody different. So I'm having a ton of issues and a ton of like inner stuff come up. What about you?
Um, Pretty similar. I've actually I go to bed pretty early as it is. I like to usually go to bed like around 9, but I usually start winding down around 7 or 8, and I just kind of like lay in bed usually and do stuff on my phone or just listen to a YouTube video and kind of reset and relax with my dogs. But I've been waking up hella early, like 4 a.m. every morning, and I'm like,
Mhm.
oh, I should go back to sleep, but I'm not tired. So I think that's interesting. I think there's a couple things to be said about that. I think either my spirit guides are keeping me up because there's a lot of black magic and a lot of dark entities and a lot of secret societies doing magic spells in the mountains right now. That if you're empathic, well, I mean, maybe we all feel it. I don't know. Don't cancel me. Um, so there's one possibility. Maybe you're being kept awake for a reason, or maybe you're just having an extra boost of energy right now because you're, being activated because you've been doing the work and you've been listening to your inner guidance system when something is telling you, hey, some person needs to be cut out, something needs to be cut out.
Mhm.
One of the things that I've been doing, a big theme for me has been worthiness. And I feel like that's a thing that's going on for a lot of people. And I think that has to do, well, Uranus is in Taurus right now, and Taurus is our values too. So it's like money and beauty and love, which is also, because Taurus is ruled by Venus, same with Libra. So when we have big Libra transits, it's also about worthiness on some level, like in regards to money and, our self-esteem and love. Are we
Mhm.
worthy of love? So for me, I've been going through a lot of money blocks, and it's also in alignment with my personal chart because I have something about, I think Saturn's like in my second house or something, which is transforming my finances, and Pluto's in Aquarius, my second house too. So Pluto is also transforming my finances. So I found myself doing a lot of positive affirmations out loud while I'm driving. So I don't really listen to I don't listen to music anymore. It's not because I don't like music, but I just love the silence of being on the road, and it's my time
Mhm.
to think, and it's very meditative. But you mentioned something about the voice earlier and the throat chakra, and I wanted
Right.
to say when you were talking, our words carry a vibration, they carry a certain frequency. So, it's not enough to just think something. We have to speak it out loud. So the thing that happens for a lot of people is they complain and they vent a lot. And there's a lot of emphasis, especially in therapy, like talk about it, talk through it, get it out of you. And on some level, like it is important to do that. But if we tell the same story over and over and we get advice from this person, this person, this person, first of all, if we're not in alignment and in balance in ourselves, like if we have split energy about something and we're giving our power away to other people by asking for their advice,
Right.
it's just going to be reflected in that advice. So hopefully what I'm trying to say is makes sense. Like what I've found for me, like every time that I've not known what to do or I've been stuck in a situation or experiencing a lot of stagnant energy, what I used to do is like call my sponsor, call my friends, like ask so and
Mhm.
so for their advice. And then I have to talk about it and talk to a therapist about it and go over it again and again, tell the same story. Kind of like
Right.
when you go to the doctor and you have to tell the nurse and you have to tell the doctor and then you have to tell this person. But what I realized, especially after watching a lot of law of attraction videos, which really resonated with me personally, I was like, oh, the universe is reflecting back to me my own split energy about a topic. Like the work is that I have to sit with myself and decide how I feel about something. What are my beliefs? Because most of us
Right.
are programmed from society, from our parents, from TV, from social media. So we don't have, a black or white opinion about something. And a lot of our beliefs about money, love, worthiness are not even our own. So again, like the worthiness or the work, the spiritual work, and why it's important to also isolate every now and again is because it's a great time to reflect on those things, especially during a full moon, lunar eclipse in Pisces, because Pisces is about ending cycles. So Pisces is also about the subconscious. It's about what beliefs are ruling us. So we're letting go a lot of that. And I know for me personally, it's in the realm of money, because, you know, I grew up with certain beliefs from my parents, and society, blah, blah, blah. And I noticed that I talk a lot about it. If somebody's like, oh, do you want to come out? I'm always like, well, I can't. I have to save for gas. But it's like, I don't know when I'm going to get a sale next. You know, it's like I have to start speaking positive things into existence if I want to raise my frequency in regards to how much money I check.
Right. And what I would tell you is I've been there too. Like, if the moment you say you don't have anything is the moment that you're going to keep, and forgive me for saying this, but I've done the same thing. Like, when you say I don't have enough of something, you're going to consistently say I don't have enough of something. So what you're expressing to the universe is I have a lack of something and I want more. But what the universe hears is I don't have what I already have. So the more you say I have a lack of something, the more the universe is going to come in and say, I'm giving you just enough. I'm not giving you everything you need because you want lack. So I'm going to give you consistently more lack. I'm going to give you just enough so that you just keep wanting, because you're showing me that's what you want, is more wanting. So instead of saying I don't have enough, and you're doing the right thing, like, obviously, but instead of saying I don't have enough, all you really need to do is change that thinking. Just say, I have everything that I need, no matter what. My bills are paid. I have a roof over my head. I have enough gas. I have everything that I need and I want for now. And then what that does is cuts that line of like, I want. And it moves into more of an abundance mode of like, oh, I'm working with the universe. I have what I need. I don't care about money and I don't care about anything else. And what that does is it opens up a line and a direct channel to what you truly want, what you truly desire. But the key is, and I'm saying to you, but whoever else is listening, it's obvious. Like, the moment you get something is the moment that you don't need it, right? It's like, I have $1 million, I'm going to get $1 million. Oh, I don't need $1 million. It's nice to have $1 million, because all you're really thinking is, I don't need this. I have everything that I need. And that's where the true abundance comes from, is knowing that the universe will guide you and meet you every step of the way and give you everything that you need, as long as you don't ask for it. Because the moment that you're just like, I don't have what I need, is the moment that you're going to just continue to struggle. And that's why so many people become addicted to the struggle. It's like, oh, I can't find a job, I can't do this, and I can't do this, and I have just enough to not be poor. Okay, well, change that thought, right? And for the past couple of years, and especially the last couple of weeks, like, that feeling of worthiness is sitting there for a reason. So I've had the same issue. It's like, where is this worthiness coming from? Where is the lack of worthiness coming from? What is deep down in my soul that is telling me that I'm not worthy? And who told me that I wasn't worthy way back in the day? Because now it's coming up. I have to access it. So no longer should I be saying I'm not worthy. I need to take a look at what's around me and realize that I truly am worthy of everything that I desire. And it's not me wanting anything. It's whatever I desires me. So it's an energetic match. And especially as we move forward towards the end of this year, we're going to find that as long as we understand that we are an energetic match for what we desire, everything comes easier. But some people still are willing to be on that struggle bus for a little bit longer. So that astrology dictates everything comes in waves. So the people that climb their way up out of the struggle bus and are walking out are understanding that, all right, I'm an energetic match for what I want. The people still on the struggle bus will continue to be on that struggle bus until the next eclipse cycle, when they finally understand, like, hey, there's an off ramp. I can get off the struggle. I don't have to struggle. I'm an energetic match for everything, and I'm going to stop right here. I'm going to reassess my self. I'm going to reassess my love for myself and figure out what I truly need, because it's not money. it could be love, but it's not love from somebody else. It's love for myself. Everything starts from here. And that's the key, is like people are looking so far outside of themselves to be completed, when they really just need to look inside their heart. Like, you complete yourself in your own heart. You don't need anything else, because as long as you love yourself, everything else is going to come to you. I just felt like I need to step off my Apple Box for a second. Sorry.
No, what's so interesting, when you're hearing you talk, you mentioned how some people are staying on the struggle bus. And what's super interesting about astrology, if you think of yourself as the nucleus, and now think of your natal chart, which is a circle. So every single year, every month, like, it's always rotating and it's always coming back to different degree points. But hold on, this is a great visualization. It's going to help people.
Okay.
All right, so where's my light? All right. So anyways, imagine yourself. You are the nucleus of a cell, and there's, what is it? Are you the proton, and there's the electron outside of you or something? I don't know. I forget the basic science.
Protons and neutrons, the nucleus is inside. So like the nucleus, and then the protons and the electrons are flashing around.
All right, so this is making me think of Bill Nye the Science Guy, because like, we are the nucleus of the cell. Okay, so all, at all various times, every October, when Libra's in 28 degrees, 29 degrees, it's going to reach the same point of my chart, which rules a certain area of my life. So every cycle, every month, every year, we have the opportunity to shift onto a different timeline. So it's almost like when the sun, or whatever, the planets, the sun, whatever, comes back to those certain degree points, it's kind of like an intersection point. So we're going over the same lessons, but we can decide, oh, it finally makes sense. Okay, so now I can kind of shift to this higher timeline. So if you imagine, like, you're in the center of all of these circles and loops around you, and one of them's here, and one of them's here, and one of them is here, but there's these intersecting points. I don't even know if the visualization I'm trying to explain makes sense to people. It does to me. What'd you say?
It does to me. So
that's what's happening. We have these eclipse cycles and these portals, and it's like, you can shift on another timeline, or you can keep doing the same shit. And it's like the universe wants to come back and test you. It's always going to give us a choice. Like, if your ex comes back, you can go back to your ex and you can have a great time for 3 months again, and then go back to misery again, which has always been my experience. So I've recently made boundaries. Like, don't go back to exes. It's going to be the same timeline, unless like you've really, really done the work to change. You're probably going to hit the same, issues that you had, which may or may not be good or bad, because, in life, like, we're always going to have polarity of energies. So it's like, you're always going to have bad stuff happen and good stuff. So it just matters how do you respond to the bad stuff? Like, are you realizing, like, are you going to sit and have a pity party, or are you going to realize that the bad stuff can be alchemized into something great? Because I'm thinking of my life as an example. I've had a lot of online bullying, and it's funny to me now, because in the past I would have been like, oh my God, I can't leave my house. I'm so sad. These people hate me. They think I'm ugly. Whatever they are saying about me, they're whatever. Or I can laugh about it now and be like, oh my God, every time somebody like comments something mean or does something or says something, I actually am able to transmute that. Like, for example, every time somebody breaks my heart, I write a great song, and then I get a ton of views on it, and it, pays me money or something like that. Like, things like that can happen. Or same with your creativity. Like, you can transmute that pain and the negativity through creative energy. And if you create something, it usually helps other people when you put it out into the world. So then you get the blessings of that. So really, all this contrast is actually good for you in the long run, if you know it and recognize that.
And it's not even funny, but everything is based on cycles. Like, the astrology is based on cycles. The seasons are based on cycles. We've been in this exact point a year ago, 18 years ago, 24 years ago, 275 years ago. you can take a look at where your life was this time last year and realize that you were going through the almost the exact same thing. And if you're doing the same thing over and over and over again, and you are continuing to be on this struggle bus and you're not finding ways to claw yourself out or change at least a little bit, you're not truly living life. Like you we talk about NPCs, like the idea of like an NPC, a non-playable playable character. And there are NPCs. They're the people that wake up, go to a 9 to 5, have no life, and just go home. And if that is the way you want to live life, cool. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you're on the struggle bus, if you're realizing that there are things in your life that can change, either by walking a certain way, eating healthier, doing something different, using the energy of the moment, and you start to realize that, like, oh, all I have to do is A, B, or C, or D, you grab hold of that cycle and you twist it a different way. You sometimes, and you may end up going to a different timeline, but you allow yourself to find the freedom to get off the struggle bus and to realize that, oh, I've been doing the same thing the same way for the past 20 years. Maybe it's time to do something a little bit different. Or the last time the planet was in this house, it was like 1987. What was I doing in 1987? What did I do exactly? And maybe I should try something different, because the universe, your heart, your brain, your mind, everything around you is all going to react to what you're going to do. If you do nothing, it'll pass you by. So why are people letting their life pass them by and not taking a hold and going, oh, I can create something out of this and I can do something completely new. And who knows, maybe in a year, like, you'll be president of the moon or whatever. Like, but you owe it to yourself. All of us owe it to ourselves to really try something new. And I'm harping on it because for me, like, I'm a Taurus. It's like everything has to be in a certain cycle. Well, what did I do? I started traveling for no apparent reason. And now I'm like, oh, I'm going to stay in Costa Rica for a little bit longer. You realize how uncomfortable it is to be in a different country for longer than a month going, oh, fuck, what am I doing? And I've had this happen over the past couple of weeks where I'm literally just sitting on my ass and going, I don't know why I'm doing this. I don't know why I'm going to stay in this country. I don't know why I'm doing this. I don't want to do this. But then I relinquish it. I relinquish the idea of, like, I don't want to do this, and realize I'm doing it for a reason. I might as well just let it go. I'm going to let go the idea that it has to look a certain way, and I'm going to continue moving forward until I hit a bump, and then I will figure it out then. But right now, it works out. So if something is telling you to move a different way, do something differently, react differently, you don't have to be scared of what's really going to happen. You owe it to yourself to really try something new. The astrology dictates that everything is new, that you're about to drop a whole load of shit that you didn't need. Why are you going to do the same thing over and over and over again?
Yes, and that's the thing. Have you ever heard of the book Transurfing Reality, or maybe it's called Reality Transurfing? I think it's called Transurfing Reality.
No.
But one of the things they talk about is, like, when you shift to a different timeline, it's kind of like goes along. It reminds me of, like, the multiverse theory, that kind of like this idea that there's, like, a version of you in a bunch of different timelines and realities doing something different based on whatever choice that you make or that you didn't make. So every so often these timelines intersect and you have a choice point. You can either stay with what you know, which is going to keep you on that same loop, like I was talking about, when you're the nucleus, like your higher self is a nucleus, and then your, avatar is like on, we've got a million different avatars or projections of ourselves in all these different areas. So if you do the same thing and you don't make a different choice, you're going to stay in that timeline, stay in the same reality with the same people, and nothing's going to change. But if you step outside your comfort zone and do something different, you've intersected into the higher timeline, and you're not necessarily going to see those results right away, because time takes slower to things take slower to manifest on a physical plane than they do in spirit. Because think about your dream life. And when you're dreaming, it's like you think of lucid dreaming specifically. I think I like to think that when you're lucid dreaming, that maybe is what the spirit realm feels like. But what do I know? I don't know. What does anybody know? But I don't know. But I like to think that when you're lucid dreaming, you know, that's kind of the closest you are to like your spirit. And we're in a different realm. We're in a different dimension when we're dreaming, and things happen and they manifest instantly. But here on Earth, there's a time delay. So
yeah, and sometimes that time delay is years or decades, but you feel it instantly. Like when you decide to do something different, you're instantly going to feel it, and it's not going to be, unfortunately, sometimes it's not going to be the best feeling. A lot of times when we decide to relinquish control and go, I'm going to try something different, our mind starts to wrap around and go, well, you can't do that. What happens if, and what happens if? But that's when, like, the more you overthink, the more your heart is just like, let it go. And that's when people stop trusting the process and stop thinking, oh, I should do this, and start interjecting the logical thought and going, I can't do this. And they stop themselves from moving forward. When in reality, like if you don't stop yourself and you tell your mind that it's going to be okay, everything will be fine. Like there's nothing bad is going to happen. Like, and you're your own best indicator of what's right and wrong for you. We constantly use our intuition, so you'll never put yourself in a situation that is going to be detrimental. You are always going to put yourself in a situation that is the best and highest for your own good. But then there is one thing that I wanted to talk about, because we're talking about the eclipse. And we were talking over the phone about things being seen, and the fact that P. Diddy is now getting arrested and arraigned and charged with a whole bunch of stuff. What does the astrology say for that?
The astrology.
Yeah.
We're in a number 8 year, so I think it's connected to something that we started during the year 2017. So I don't know what Diddy was doing in 2017, but that was a number 1 year. And number 8 year is about reaping rewards. It's karma. Last year we had the 777 portal, which I don't know about you, or if you were paying attention to that date, July 7th. I had an event downtown that day, and we literally made a 7-7 portal for people to come sit in. And I was Starletta wearing this outfit, and I literally felt like I shifted into like a different timeline. And that after that year, I started having really intense experiences when I was doing mediumship readings. I never really had the experience of feeling, I don't even know how to explain it, not necessarily like a spirit is jumping in my body, because I don't know if it's that, but I feel like electricity. Like an example was I was doing a reading for somebody the other day, and I do it remotely, like I guess it's remote viewing. But I was laying in bed and I felt like electrical impulses right below my knee, and it was just really strong and intense, like something was like touching me almost. I'm like, I told the guy, I was like, I feel like someone's putting their hand on my shins. And he's like, yeah, I've had a lot of issues with below my knees, so I've been trying to get out in nature more. So I'm just like, dang. So like so all that to say, last year was the number 7. So it was 777 portal was a big activation point for a lot of us. And there was a lot of negativity last year too, and a lot of like dark stuff with, I don't know, we're seeing it in Hollywood, a lot of like Illuminati, I keep saying that, like devil and satanic symbolism and pop culture, like they're trying to normalize it or something. Like they got Taylor Swift doing like what looks like witchy rituals on stage.
Yeah,
maybe it's for theatrics. Who that?
But that was happening a lot over the past couple of years, where people like initiation rituals seem to be going on in like at award shows and everything. It was like humiliation rituals, initiation rituals. Like it involved a lot of blood and humiliation and just like really intense symbolism as well. And what we're getting into now, like I think that you had said something earlier about now is the time where a lot of things are going to be revealed, and it seems like over the past year or couple of years, like things have slowly started to be revealed about like the cabal or the deep darkness in that has been happening. And whether it's Hollywood, whether it's something happening in Washington D.C. or just in general, like it seems like a lot of like the higher states of things where like CEOs and everything else, like it's slowly falling apart to where you're seeing how the fudge is made in reality.
Yes. And that's the Pluto and Capricorn energy crumbling. So we all, and those outer planets being in 27, 28, 29 degree points, they can also be considered crisis theme points in an astrology chart, but it's also about like ending the cycle of whatever theme the planet was like teaching us. So that's, I think, what we're feeling too. And collectively, we're going to be moving, like Neptune's moving from Pisces to Aries, I believe, in 2025. And then we got Pluto moving into Aquarius. So those are both air signs, but Aries is new beginnings. That's the start of the astrological new year. And it's about leadership, but it's also the god of war. But, every sign has a polarity of energy. So that's why, I don't know, it can manifest as like war and chaos and weaponry and assassinations, or Mars energy can be about leaders stepping up and saving the underdog and fighting for a cause that they believe in. And then we have the outer planet Pluto moving from Capricorn into Aquarius. So it's I'm in the dark again, so and then Uranus, from Taurus to Gemini. So these are all air signs. It's all masculine energy, which is interesting because they say the future is feminine or whatever. We're seeing a lot of the crumbling of the patriarchy, if you will. However, at the same time, a lot of our reproductive rights as women are on the line, especially with this current election. So it's interesting that all the outer planets are moving into the masculine signs, which could also be why we're purging right now, because we need a new kind of masculine energy to lead us into the future. It's no longer, we don't want the toxic masculinity or the men that are too afraid to cry because they've been brainwashed, not to cry because it's not masculine. But I do think that there's a collective awakening for men that's happening right now too. I'm seeing it in a lot of the people I read for, like men. A lot of men seem to be having spiritual awakenings. I believe because it's preparing the next generation of men who are leaders, who are going to show us what true masculinity is all about.
The untoxic masculinity, which is I can fight, but I can also cry. I can be stoic, but I can show you my heart at the same time. Whereas what we've been leading out of is the don't cry, don't show emotions, don't talk about mental health. You are just something to pay bills and die. Yeah, like, and that's pretty much what men have been for at least the past 60 years. Like the older generation and the boomers now are getting into this space of, I can be healthy. I can be okay with talking about my issues. I can live for somebody other than myself. Whereas before they were stuck in this dynamic of like, I have to be the same as my parents. I have to honor them by being unhappy, and I have to honor them by just working at the same job for 40 years and then die, and my kids will get to live a happy life. And through their children, which are us, kind of realizing like, I don't want to work at the same place for 40 years. I don't want to be stuck and work for shit wages and only get 2 weeks of vacation. I'm going to make my own life. Really what's going on now is like the millennials and Gen Z are just like, I want to have a better life. I want to do this for me. I'm not going to do anything based on what my parents wanted me to do, because I will never have the same life that they will. I will never own a house. I'll probably never have kids, blah, blah, blah. And it's not spiting them, but what it's doing is realizing that I can stop the madness at this moment and I can try something else. And by trying something else, even if I fail, I've at least tried. And that's all that matters at this point.
Well, I've had a great talk, and my alarm is going to go off again because I have to give my dogs medicine.
Okay.
And I'm starting to get hungry, And I feel like it's because we're talking about a lot of these spiritual energies. So I think that with the Pisces energy, it's heightened right now. So the other thing I feel like that other people might be relating to is like eat food to stay grounded, especially root vegetables like beets and red meat, or things to help us stay grounded, which is what I feel like I need right now.
Yeah, I am feeling it. I'm feeling like after the amp up over the last few weeks and today, like I'm definitely feeling the drop off of just like, all right, I could just do nothing right now.
Exactly.
So.
Well, great talk.
Great talk.
Yes.
We'll be back in 2 weeks and we'll figure out how to work all this out. But I enjoy these talks, and it helps me and it helps you and it helps everybody who comes across these things. And I just enjoy doing this because it's a nice way to kind of understand what's been going on for the past 2 weeks and what we're about to leap into in a way.
100%. Couldn't agree more. Awesome. Well, you have a good night, and everybody watching, thanks for watching. We will be back.
We'll be back in 2 weeks. Talk to y'all later.
We'll be back in October because I don't know if anybody noticed. Well, we haven't been live on YouTube yet together, but I'm sitting in Starletta Studios where I want to film future episodes of Starletta Talk, where we'll talk about more things like this more in depth, and
And I'll be in the U.S. in October. So.
What'd you say?
I'll be in the U.S. in October, so it's a possibility we could do this live and in person.
Exactly. Oh, there's my light again. There's my cue.
On that note, say goodbye to the green couch. Say goodbye to Alex. Say goodbye to Matt. We'll talk to you all later, and enjoy.
Good night. Bye.